me too.
You got a timer?
We'll have it all explained, but yes.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to this candidate forum for the City of Franklin Aldermanic candidates. I'm David Plazas. I'm the opinion engagement editor for the Tennessean, and I have with me reporter Emily West. We'll be serving as your co-moderators tonight for this great event. Local government is so important to the fabric of our community. It's the most important part, actually, the one that makes the most important decisions for your daily life. Tonight, we hope to get to some very powerful issues that are on your mind related to growth, traffic, education, environment, and others. We'll be introducing the candidates in just a moment and let them make a 60-minute introduction after that. Just as a point of order, we have our timer, Elena Sober, who covers Brentwood for our Tennessean Williamson team. I'd like to give a special shout out to Marsha Prouse, who's the head of our Williamson team, Melanie Balakit, also a reporter in Williamson for Education, and Heather Cass, who is our marketing manager here for the Tennessean, and of course Shelley Mays, who will be photographing us. This is being recorded or broadcast live on Franklin TV, so we want to give a special thanks to Franklin TV and the City of Franklin. With that, just a very brief introduction on who is here tonight. Ward 1 candidates, Bev Berger, Michael Phillips, and J. Edward Campbell. Want to take Ward 2?
Yeah, so we have Mike Vaughn and Dana McClinda.
For Ward 3, we have Mike Skinner. And Scott Speedy couldn't attend tonight. During the introduction, we'll make a remark for him, and it'll be the last of the remarks from him via notice. But we'll explain why he's not here tonight.
And then we have Margaret Martin and Elizabeth Wanzak.
At this time, what we'd like to do is give each candidate, starting with the Ward 1 candidates, the opportunity to give us a 60-second introductory statement. Elena, of course, is going to let me know when the 60 seconds are up, and I will very politely, or Emily will very politely cut you off. And after that, we'll get into this. The idea is not every candidate will get the same question. We've split this up into various sections so that you don't hear 8 different answers over and over, but so that we can address a variety of issues in ways that matter. More important is how they think, how their judgment is, and whether or not they're the right leaders for you today. So with that, let's start with Bev Berger and your introductory statement.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the citizens for coming out tonight and making an effort to be here. It's great to have a full room, and a lot of times we don't have a full room at these debates. I'm running for re-election because I've been serving for the last 12 years, doing a lot of different projects and getting a lot of things accomplished for Ward 1. I met with my constituents last fall to seek their advice. I wouldn't be arrogant to think that just because I hold this seat, it belongs to the people, and I wanted to ask them if they wanted me to run again. And I've overwhelmingly got tremendous support and encouragement to run, and so here I am tonight. I gladly serve, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm married to Dr. Ken Berger. We have 3 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, 4 grandchildren, just had a new baby girl. And we're all excited about that in the Berger family. My service has been to continue to serve Ward 1 residents on BOMA and to be the problem solver that I am. And I thank you for your support.
We appreciate it. Now to Michael Phillips, please.
I'm Michael Phillips, running for Alderman in Ward 1, where we are frustrated by traffic and concerned about development. I'm running because serving others is what I've been called to do. I served our military for 20 years, and now I want to serve you, our community, and be your voice here in City Hall. The growth and development that's coming over the next 4 years is going to be significant and critical. Much too important to leave in the hands of the same people that controlled it for the last 4 years, or 8 years, or 12 years. Married to a public school teacher. We've got 4 teenagers at home.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips. Appreciate it. Now, Mr. Campbell.
Good evening. I'm J. Edward Campbell. I've been a resident of Franklin since 1976 and a resident of Ward 1 since 2004. When I moved here in 1976, I became intentionally involved in the community and still remain intentionally involved, serving in a lot of community activities. Married to wife Brenda, who is here tonight. We're in the real estate business. We're real estate brokers. We sell houses together. I became involved in this campaign because people in Ward 1 asked me to become involved. As I have knocked on doors, I have met lots of people who, number one, do not know about city government. Number two, they don't know what an alderman is. And number three, they don't know what an alderman does. I have made myself accessible by my website, by email, and by telephone, and I have received numerous responses in regard to that. We do stand at a crossroads. We are a small town, a charming small town, that is now facing big city problems. So as Nashville continues to push
Thank you
this
very
way.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to go on to Ward 2, to Dana McClendon, please.
Good evening, I'm Dana McClendon, I'm the Ward 2 Alderman. My wife and I moved to Franklin in 1995. We were childless 27-year-olds. And today, we are empty nester 49-year-olds. I kind of got into politics the same way some people do. It was an issue related to my neighborhood. And before long, I ended up throwing in my hat and getting on the ballot. This is the push card that I walked around with in 1997. These are the promises I made to the people in the ward. That I would preserve the historical character of Franklin, ensure responsible development, support our police and fire departments, keep city services at a high level, maintain Franklin's excellent fiscal reputation. That's the 5 guiding principles that I created for my service as an alderman to this community. And I renew my pledge to continue to do all of those things for the purpose of promoting and preserving our quality of life here in Franklin. If you think I've done a good job, I ask for your support.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Mike Vaughn, please.
Thank you, Mac.
Hi, I'm Mike Vaughn. I'm running for Alderman, Ward 2. I've lived in Chestnut Bend with my wife Joan, who's here in the crowd tonight, since 2003. Prior to that, we lived in Nashville since 1987. I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee at Martin. I'm an 8th-generation Tennessean. I'm a member of the Franklin Noon Rotary Club. I'm on the board of directors of the Franklin YMCA. And I'm running for alderman because I think it's time for new ideas and better solutions. I support the Harpeth River. I support an amount of growth, but limited growth that doesn't impact the residents in the neighborhoods where we live. I believe it's time that we focus on the residents in the neighborhoods, especially those in Ward 2, where I'm a resident and have been an HOA president for 4 years prior to seeking this office. And I just look forward to having a discussion about the issues that are so important to the place where we live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. On to Ward 3. Mr. Skinner, please.
My name is Mike Skinner. I've served as Third Ward Alderman for almost 10 years. Well, like Dana, I began my career because there was a local issue about a cell phone tower that people were upset about, but they thought, you can't fight City Hall. I helped organize them, and by golly, the cell phone tower was never built. So then that made me realize that we're all busy with our lives. We have people that have children, they have things you have to do, there's school, there's a lot of demands for your time. You don't really have the time to devote to following things that are going on in City Hall. And that's part of what I see as my job as alderman, is to be a liaison to inform the neighborhood. My family, I have 2 sons, Chris and Justin, a daughter who still lives with me that just started as a freshman
Thank you,
at
Alderman.
Columbia State.
Appreciate it. And now we move on to Ward 4, please. Ms. Martin.
In 2009, when I ran for this 4th Ward position, I had a goal to keep Franklin a place where people wanted to live, work, worship, and rear their families. We have not always been what we are today. Most of those moving here were either coming or coming back to Franklin not because it was a beautiful small city, but because we were a comfortable little suburb of Nashville. It's amazing how a large portion of our population today thinks that we've always been a beautiful, progressive community. That's what we are now, but not without struggles, huge efforts, vision, and finances to fund the services that our citizens expect. Hard lessons have been learned through much sweat and tears, and I'm grateful to have had a role in this throughout the years. I would like to continue my efforts to bring about those quality of life issues that mean so much to our residents.
Many thanks, Alderman. Appreciate it. And now to Ms. Wanzek, please.
Good evening, and thank you so much to the Tennessean for hosting this debate and for everyone who came out this evening. My name is Elizabeth Downing Wanzak, and Franklin has been my home for the past 8 years. My husband and I moved here in 2009, right before he deployed for his second tour in Iraq, and we are truly blessed to get to raise our almost 2-year-old daughter here. I'm a published songwriter, and until April of this year, I ran Right Off the Row, a songwriting studio in Nashville. I'm also a paralegal and have experience doing municipal government paralegal work. I have always been interested in politics, particularly local politics, and I have a bachelor's in political science from Sewanee, the University of the South. I am running for alderman because I want to ensure that Franklin is using its leverage to preserve and sustainably grow the city, and I think it's time for some fresh ideas. In the 8 years I have lived here, Franklin has become a coveted destination to both live and work, and I want to make sure that the reasons we all proudly call Franklin home remain while helping to build the Franklin of the future. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And at this time, I'll read a statement from candidate Scott Speedy, and I'm being timed too, so Emily will cut me off if I go over. Hello, everyone. Thanks to the Tennessean for hosting the candidate debate tonight. I'm currently on the Destination Denver trip sponsored by Williamson, Inc., with several other community leaders, including Mayor Ken Moore, Eric Stuckey, and County Mayor Rogers Anderson. I moved to Franklin in 1981 with my parents, and now I choose to raise my family here. I have 3 children in the Franklin Special School District and Williamson County Public Schools. I am passionate about keeping Franklin one of the best places to live in America, and I feel that I have the skill set as a small business owner with a strong background in financial planning to work collaboratively with our city and county officials to do more forward thinking in terms of planning for schools and infrastructure, as Franklin continues to grow. Sorry to have missed the debate, but I'd like to ask for your support so we can work together to preserve and enhance our quality of life in Franklin. And again, that is Scott Speedy's statement. So at this time, we're going to move to round 1. As I mentioned, we'll be splitting up candidates in groups of 3 and 2 on a variety of questions, and Emily and I will be alternating answering those questions. So please, if you would start with the first question, Emily.
Sure. So this question is for Bev Berger, Michael Phillips, and J. Edward Campbell, going for Ward 1, just as a reminder. And your question is, do you believe that Franklin is growing in a sustainable way? And we'll start with Bev Berger. You have 60 seconds.
Well, growth is a great problem to have. I'd rather have that problem than be stagnant. There are communities that can't even find a McDonald's to come in to help them. And this community has the challenges of growth, and I'm thankful for that. We have enacted amazing plans and policies since 2009 to address these issues. And one of the things that I've noticed is that as we have come along through the growth and through the processes, and as we've moved along, growth is right here nipping at our heels, and we've become such a great and desirable place to live, growth continues to come upon us and starting to overtake us. And that is why we've developed our plans and our policies to address these issues. And our new Envision Franklin Land Use Plan is a great plan that will help us direct growth where it needs to go, where there's infrastructure appropriate or could be placed in the future. And yes, I think we are, as a board, addressing and being very aggressive and assertive and addressing how we will
Thank
be
you very much.
sustainable in the future.
Thank you. J. Edward Campbell?
Yes, growth is very important. I disagree a little bit with, are we sustaining the growth? I think we need to sustain the growth. I think that we're growing so fast that when you look at growth and what's happening, currently there are 500 food service jobs available in Cool Springs that they cannot be filled. And part of that may be for growth, part of that may be the fact that people can't live here or people choose not to come here to work and to fill those jobs. There are also other places like nursing homes and places around town that also can't find enough people to fill those positions as well. So I think when we look at growth, we do need to look at moving forward. We do need to look at ways to address housing to keep up with that growth, the infrastructure. I do support Envision Franklin. I've seen that plan, and I do envision that. I do envision the connectivity with sidewalks to walk, and especially with bike trails to be able, for people to be able to bike to work as well.
Thank you. And Michael Phillips?
The question was, is Franklin growing in a sustainable way? Easy enough? No. the way we're going, the rate we're going, you know, our roads are already at capacity, beyond capacity, they're failing. Development continues, making our roads worse every day. The perception, to many, is that we have aldermen that cater to developers and ignore the wishes, demands of the residents. We need to continue to grow, but something's got to change. We've got to put road capacity projects on city roads on the capital projects list, and they're not.
Thank you very much. The next question in the growth round is, do you think Franklin's plan for the city in Envision Franklin works? And this question is for Dana McClendon, Mike Vaughn, and also Mike Skinner. So why don't we start with Dana McClendon, please?
I think it does work. It's a flexible plan with kind of aspirational qualities. It's not a, it speaks in terms of desirable or appropriate, not forbidden or you know, must. It took a lot of community involvement to arrive at it. We spent a long time working on it. We had workshops and invited members of the public and stakeholders in. It's the kind of plan that if you don't come down here and get involved and invested in the community, you might not know exists. I would encourage you to go to the City of Franklin's website and review it for yourself. Every single thing we do down here is on our website. Our meetings, everything. All the documents that you're going to hear about tonight, they're all there. So I do think it works. I was part of making it so, and I look forward to carrying it on and seeing it through.
Thank you very much, Alderman. And now to Mike Vaughn, please.
Thank you. Plans are great. Envision Franklin was a outstanding study that was done by third-party consultants that the city brought in. I myself am a proponent of local input, first and foremost, in these types of plans. One area where the plan is lacking is how it addresses the needs of the residential communities. In my opening remarks, I made the comment that I represent Ward 2 first, and then the City of Franklin second. And that's how I am now with the Envision Franklin plan. Plans are great, but they change. We've already seen that once already where we had a sewer plant that was planned to be on the south side of the city that was changed and removed in the master plan, and a drinking plant was put along the Harpeth River. And now all the focus is on increasing and building a new wastewater treatment plant to handle this capacity, but that was the plan in the beginning. So our focus should be positive. Franklin is going to continue to grow. There's no way you can stop it. We're going to have this pressure for years to come. And I just think that we have to be careful not to take to heart too much these fancy plans.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Skinner.
Envision Franklin is a plan that will lead us into the future. Just as the plan before that needed modifications, I think we will find things that will need to be modified in this. These are not static documents. They're intended to change and adapt with the community and our needs. Some of the problems that we look at now, we didn't have during the middle of the Great Recession. And just as our growth will ebb and flow, we will need to respond to that likewise. But this gives us a solid background to make decisions or to make changes as the Board of Aldermen see proper.
Thank you.
So in our next part of our growth segment, this is for Margaret Martin and Elizabeth Wanzak. And your question is, how many stories should Franklin climb? As far as height goes. It's different in all of the Envision Franklin plan, but I know that was a huge issue for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen as they were considering the plan.
You mean how many stories do we build on?
Yes, that is correct.
My vote was not to go beyond 12. I think 12 is plenty. We're not a big city. We don't need high rises. Most of our development that calls for large buildings with multi-stories are around the interstate, and I think that's fine. That's what we're prepared for. But I think 12 stories is plenty, and I would not go beyond that.
Elizabeth?
I would agree as far as Envision Franklin. Envision Franklin had initially proposed 16 stories, and they settled on 12, and that was the existing code, and I agree with that. I think particularly in the case to public safety, making sure that our fire trucks can truly get up more than 12 stories was going to be an issue, and we've got a lot of people that live here during the day, that work here, that we want to make sure we could evacuate safely in case of a fire. Further than that, though, I think in downtown Franklin, in Ward 4, I'm concerned that there's proposals that are going beyond the 3 stories that have been historically the size of the buildings downtown. There is the Harpeth Square project that is going to have 4 stories, and that's going to be the tallest building in the area. And I think we just need to exercise caution when really giving a project that's going to fundamentally change the look of an area, particularly in the heart of downtown Franklin.
Thank you very much. We're going to be moving on to the next round, which is on traffic. The first question on this is, does the Franklin Transit Authority meet the needs of residents, and what needs to be done to improve upon it? And this question is for Mr. Phillips, Mr. Campbell, and Mr. McClendon. Let's start with Mr. Phillips, please.
Franklin Transit Authority meet the needs. It meets the needs of the people that want to use it. Does it meet the needs of the millennials or anybody going to Cool Springs to work 8 to 5? No, but they don't want it. Primary uses, from my understanding of talking to them, is they're moving people without cars to their medical appointments, which is awesome, and to shopping, which is great. It's an expensive venture, a money-losing venture, and we know that going in, and we need to enhance it. We need to entice people to use it, get more people off the road, because traffic is such a problem. Franklin Transit Authority is a great thing, and we need to continue to fund it and look for ways to grow it and get people to use it.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
I think the Franklin Transit Authority does work. I know people that do use it. The Transit On Demand, I mean, you can use the Transit Authority, for basic routes around the city, or you can actually call Transit On Demand and go to doctor's appointments, things like that. I think it does need to be enhanced. I think it's a very viable part of the city. I don't think we should do away with it. I've been in a transit meeting recently when they talked about, other ways to enhance it. And there are, like if you use the van pools and things like this, there's a way that if you get stuck at work, you're going to be guaranteed a ride home. Or if you need to leave early, you're going to be guaranteed a way to go, to go to wherever you need to go if it's an emergency or whatever. So yes, I think it does work, and I think we need to just continue to enhance it and use it.
Thank you.
Dana McClendon?
Oh, yes, Dana McClendon.
Yes, it works. I was on the board when we voted to create it and to fund it originally. It's been through a number of evolutions. They come in and we talk with them, and they tell us what they need and how they're doing and how they're serving, and we make adjustments to the routes and to the vehicles that they use. The people that are riding that, by and large, as Mr. Phillips said, are people that need to ride it. It would be great if our culture and the nature of the people here was perhaps a little more inclined to use public transportation. We're not there, but we will continue to provide that service to the people that need it, and hopefully cultivate some ridership among people who could use it but don't necessarily need to use it. But the answer to the question is it works, and I will continue to support it as I have from the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon. Emily?
So our next question is, do you support Franklin and Williamson County being on board with efforts to pay for and build a comprehensive regional transit system? This question is for Mike Vaughn, Mike Skinner, and Margaret Martin. We will start with Mike Vaughn.
Regionalism or regional cooperation among Franklin and Williamson County is very important, but also we can't forget that we need to have regional cooperation with Rutherford County and all the other counties that surround Williamson County. I think that if we put together a collective resource of transportation interest, that we'll come up with a comprehensive plan. I know immediately we're trying to look at how Franklin deals with its immediate transportation problems, but it is a regional concern. Franklin is a part of a vibrant community of Nashville and the metropolitan area. And so we've got to start looking at how to address our problems with our neighbors and our other counterparts in other parts of the state, because we are a metropolitan regional government.
Thank you. So we will toss it off to Mike Skinner.
Yes, the regional transit system is important. It's really the vision of the future. Eventually, the traffic will be so bad here, and it's not just involved here in Franklin. It's cities and citizens that live to the south of us that need to travel to Nashville for their jobs. With a regional transit system, we can move people more efficiently, and when people choose that it is better to ride a 30-minute bus ride along I-65 than it is to wait for an hour in their car, bumper to bumper, that's when we will be successful. One of the key things that just happened this year was with the governor's plan for sales tax. Part of that also allows for a sustainable source of money that will be used on regional transportation. But
Thank you, thank you. And Ms. Margaret Martin.
I would like to see light rail from all of our southern counties into Nashville. I don't know how this will happen because it's going to take a great deal of money, and it's not going to drop out of the sky. So we've got to all work together. We do have the regional transit system program in operation. Our mayor serves on that committee, and they are doing everything in their power through buses right now. I don't know how much light rail is being investigated, but I certainly hope our state government is looking at this as a solution to our traffic problems. If I went to Nashville every day to work, I would be standing on this Highway 96 bridge with the sign screaming for light rail, looking at all of that traffic coming down the interstate. It's ridiculous, and
Thank you, Ms. Margaret.
that's it.
And the final question in this round, for Ms. Wanczak and also for Ms. Berger, is what roadway or street do you see needs the most improvement in the city of Franklin? Ms. Wanczak, please.
I would say the roadway that needs the most improvement is Columbia Avenue, that they just voted on last week to install a bunch of lights, which unfortunately I believe is really short-sighted. By the time they get the project done, it's not going to be up to the level of service that we're going to need in 5 years, much less 40 years. I'm on the record for saying that I wasn't thrilled with the roundabout option either. I think the size of the roundabouts that are required to move that kind of traffic, particularly in an industrial area, we're going to have to take out some businesses, and that's something we shouldn't take lightly. But I'm very concerned that we are going to spend a ton of money, both state and some local, to build a road, to redo a road, that by the time they cut the ribbon is not going to be what we need it to be. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Berger?
Yes, well, my constituents are here, and if I don't say McEwen 4, they'll have my head. So, McEwen 4. In my district, though, McEwen 4 has become a regional road because we have all the people coming in from Rutherford, people coming in from Murfreesboro, people coming in from Nolensville. And so the little 2-lane country road, McEwen 4, has turned into a real headache. And I've been an advocate for that for years, getting the preliminary studies done, getting the preliminary design done, and finally, and Donna Morton, you're sitting over there just shaking your head. And thank heavens for Mead of Avalon, who stepped up to help me with those projects. And the kudos to the alderman, too, who saw that this was a major safety and regional issue. And now with $10 million coming from the state to help us with the $27 million project, we're well on our way, ready to go for right-of-way very shortly after the state finishes their environmental study. And then we're to construction.
Thank you, Ms. Berger. Next, we move on to a quick lightning round. This is something to break up the very serious questions we have. We ask that you answer in one word or one sentence.
Oh, well.
And we'll start from over here
right.
and go down the line. And the question is, what's your favorite recreational activity to do in Franklin?
This is
Walk the dog.
Perfect. Next.
Rocking on my porch, watching the traffic.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
We just adopted a rescue about 3 months ago, and we found that the trails at Eastern Flank are fantastic for walking. And not only is it good for the dog, it's good for me.
Thank
So,
you.
I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, so I choke people.
Very good. Yes, sir.
And you enjoy it.
Your favorite recreational activity?
I enjoy canoeing the Harpeth with my dog Cody. He's my campaign hound dog. He's sniffing out government waste and career politicians.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Interesting.
anything that involves me and my 4 kids, or any one of them.
Very good.
I'd say walking in Harlansdale Park.
Thank you.
One of my favorite activities is golf.
Very good. Now we return to the more serious subjects here. So the next two are education, and Emily, if you could start this off, please.
Sure. This one is, do you personally support raising the sales taxes to pay for growth? And I emphasize, do you personally support it? And this question is for J. Edward Campbell, Dan McClendon, and Mike Vaughn.
I'm a product of public school education, not in Williamson County, but in Memphis, and I received a great education there. I know that the schools are very important. They are an asset to the community. I know that through my real estate sales. Yes, I would support a raise in sales tax if that's what it took to fund the education.
Thank you. Mr. McClendon.
I voted for it. Both my sons are products of Hunters Bend, Grassland Middle, Franklin High. They're both at UT now. Among other things, our public education in this county is one of the things that makes it different and better and great. So I personally support it, even though I no longer have a child in the system. I support it also because what's good for our public school system is good for all of us. And if you just want to measure it selfishly, it's good for your home value, that the schools in your neighborhood are good. So there's a number of different reasons that are both personal, selfish, and economic, and also, you know, more altruistic than that. And I voted for it, and I'm glad that we have that opportunity, and we'll turn it over to the voters now.
Thank you. And Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, I personally can absorb a sales tax increase, so from my own personal viewpoint, you know, it's something that I can afford. But I always am concerned about sales tax increases and their impact on the low income and the elderly. It always has an impact on their bottom line right off the bat. So I think we need to be cautious about only focusing on a sales tax when there might be other revenue sources that we can look at. Not so much property tax, but for instance, Franklin Special School District has a different source of funding for its schools, and it's got an A+ school system. So that's my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is, are there any additional ways that the city of Franklin could cooperate with Williamson County Schools to provide support and other assistance? And this question is for Mr. Skinner, Ms. Martin, and Ms. Wansack. Mr. Skinner.
Yes, one of the concepts that's been kicked around for several years was for large developments over a certain number of units would volunteer or contribute to space for a school within that development. I think that's something that needs to be looked at and see where the trigger point is for that size of development, and look at that, because developments will bring more school children, which will require Williamson County to build more schools.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
I'm not sure everybody understands that the Franklin Special School District is not about Franklin, the city of Franklin schools. That just happens to be the name of the special school district that was instituted in the 1920s for the incorporated area of Franklin. And that has not continued with the expansion, as Franklin's grown, the limits of the special school district have not grown. So I want everybody to understand that. But as far as what the city of Franklin can do to help the Williamson County schools, I think what we've done about the sales tax is really a wonderful thing. When you take a very small portion
Thank you,
of
Ms. Wonsak.
taxes.
Appreciate it. Ms. Martin, I'm sorry, Ms. Wonsak, please.
Thank you. I happen to live in one of the neighborhoods that's just on the other side of where the Franklin Special School District line ends. And that works in some ways in the sense that I don't have one extra property tax that I pay annually, but we are currently zoned to Perry Creek Elementary, which is wonderful, but my house is zoned to Hillsborough Middle and Independence High School, even though I live less than a mile from Franklin High School. I think one of the biggest thing we can be doing is requiring these very large developments, which we have several of in the city, they need to be building schools. If we're building new houses, we're averaging 2.5 students additional to the school system. I think we also need to consider maybe evaluating the borders of Franklin Special School District. I think particularly inside the city, we need to be looking at ways to incorporate kids into other schools that are already existing that are also close by. I am literally in the neighborhood across the street from Freedom Middle School. It would take me 2 minutes to walk from my front door to their front door, and I am not zoned to that school. And that needs to be reevaluated, and it would reduce the burden on Williamson County.
Thank you.
So our next question in our education round is sort of in the Franklin Special School District vein, and it's, do you ever see a time when the Williamson County schools would absorb the Franklin Special School District? And this question is for Bev Berger and Michael Phillips.
When I used to represent Morningside, it's a community of 55 and older, they kept asking me, why are we paying city taxes, county school taxes, and Franklin Special, and we have no children? They said, we don't mind paying the taxes, but we are so double taxed. And I know they were looking into it at one time to see if there was a way to absorb the two school districts. One of the things some of the people in my districts have said, why is it that buses come into my neighborhood, Williamson County school buses come in and pick up all the children, and then 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, Franklin Special School bus comes and drives all the way through my neighborhood to the back 2 streets to pick up 2 children in that neighborhood? How many millions of dollars are we wasting on these school systems? That is their question, legitimate question, and which needs to be answered by the state legislature. And I believe there are some people looking into that here
Thank you,
in
Ms.
the
Berger.
area.
Michael Phillips.
I think they'll see a time when Williamson County Schools absorbs Franklin Special School District. I sure hope so. For something that started out in the 20s and still be going on, and knowing that there's redundancies in positions and overlap with school bus routes and shortages of teachers and shortages of bus drivers. Franklin Special School District has 8 schools on 7 campuses, 5 elementary and 3 middle. Williamson County Schools has 39,000 students spread across the county. It would be my personal opinion that having 2 separate school boards and school systems is just no longer something that we need. I'd love to see it absorbed.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next round is on housing. And the first question is, in what ways could the Board of Mayors and Mayor and Aldermen be working with the Housing Commission? And this is for Ms. Wanzek and Ms. Martin.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. In what ways could the Board of Mayor and Aldermen be working with the Housing Commission? What ways could they better work with the Housing Commission? And if we could start with Ms. Wanzek and then Ms. Martin.
I definitely think that affordable housing and workforce housing in particular is an issue that is facing Franklin. We made Money Magazine yesterday. We're ranked the 4th best city in America, and they said that the median home price is now $433,996. That's a lot of money for a first house. I think one of the best ways we can be working with is trying to secure access to either city funds or city property that potentially could be zoned for that specific, creating incentives for developers to want to do that. We've got an existing 10% quota that we're asking developers to do and pay a fee. It doesn't seem to be much of a hurdle to do, and I'm not really in favor of quotas so much, but I think there are definitely ways we should be, as a city, encouraging people so that we can have a vibrant city of every different level of economic background, of talents, and I do believe if you work in Franklin, you should have the option to live in Franklin if you want to.
Thank you very much. Ms. Martin?
There are many homes in Franklin that I feel could be refurbished for workforce housing. We want homes at all price ranges for our citizens. Everybody wants this. It's a problem in our city, in all the cities in the United States, in all the cities in Europe where growth is happening. This is not unique to Franklin. I would like to see our city, the city of Franklin, work with developers to encourage them on their own, not mandatory, but encourage them to do what they can to pick out these houses in neighborhoods that they could refurbish and sell for a reasonable amount for workforce housing, maybe not low-cost housing, but we're working with those. We've just approved a low-cost housing in an apartment building on West Main. We have approved some property on.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Appreciate it very much.
So our next question is for Mike Skinner and Mike Vaughn, and it is, what is the role of the city of Franklin in addressing workforce housing and affordable housing? If the city has a role at all. And that will go to Mike Skinner first.
The, part of the problem with affordable housing and workforce housing is the city has become so popular that just the land itself begins to be part of the major cost of the house. It's hard to deliver a unit if a third of the cost of that unit is going to be in land itself. We need to work with builders to incentivize. They're the people that know how to build houses. They're the ones that know what things can go into a basic home to reach a certain price. But then we get crosswise with existing neighborhoods because they happen to be more expensive houses or with larger lots. So it seems every time something looks promising that there's another hurdle that we have to go over for the city to help participate.
Thank you.
Affordable workforce housing.
And we will volley back to Mike Vaughn.
I think the city has a role to play. You know, the city is the city government. So the Board of Mayor and Aldermen provide leadership, much like a company board of directors does for its shareholders that it reports to. But when you talk about wages and affordable housing and things like that, it really comes back to me with, I have a background in 30 years in private business. You have to make the numbers work. So a business is going to need people to work in their business. It could be a matter of the fact that they've got to pay them a little more, and that's just the nature of the market force that's out there, so that they can afford to live where they're working. But in sometime in the future, the city needs to really assess an inventory of its own property and look how to work with the private landowners to be able to come up with solutions that can create housing for people that live here. There's no magic bullet. But we don't have the political will right now at the mayor and board of aldermen level. So until that's established and there can be some consensus,
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
we're limited.
The next question is, what responsibility does the city have in aiding people who might be displaced because of the cost of housing and taxes? And this question is for Mr. McClendon and Mr. Campbell. Mr. McClendon, yours first.
What responsibility does the city have to aid people who might be displaced?
Yes, sir, because of the cost of housing and taxes.
Well, I mean, the government can't provide a solution to every dilemma. So as far as like the city's responsibility to an individual who is displaced, I don't really know how we would tackle that. I think the better answer better solution is for the city to create a culture and a regulatory environment in which that doesn't happen. I've been down here for 20 years working on affordable housing and trying to muster support politically among the stakeholders and the board to allow for things like greater density. When I got elected, the density, the magic line that no one would say on paper, but it was 2.0 units per acre. And if it was more than that, it didn't even get looked at. It was DOA. We're past that now. So we're moving in the right direction. But we've got, the best solution is a
Thank you very
market-driven
much.
solution.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
Thank you. I'm currently serving on the Housing Commission. I was chairman of the Housing Commission last year for the city of Franklin. As we are looking at and tackling things, we're looking at new and innovative ways to handle the housing situation. One of the things we're looking at is to have a independent 501c3 like Friends of Franklin Housing. And people can make donations into that, tax deductible donations into that could be used if someone was displaced because of, housing situations or taxing situations. Just to come aside, we've done that with other areas in the city like Friends of Franklin Parks, so this would be something similar to called something like Friends of Franklin Housing.
Thank you.
And our last question in housing is, does the city of Franklin have any role in addressing gentrification? And this question goes to Bev Berger and Michael Phillips. Mr. Phillips, we'll go with you first.
City have a role in gentrification, which is a significant problem in our city. The property values have risen, starting with the land itself. Our kids who get this great education here can't afford to live here. Our older generations can't afford to downsize. It is a problem. The city's role is to find solutions. Form committees. Think outside the box. We've got to find a solution. We can't. We talked about putting zoning on places to prevent some of that gentrification, but it ties the hands of people who own the property. So
Thank
it's a
you.
bad problem, and it needs to be continued to look at.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. And Ms. Berger.
Well, in prosperous cities, this is a big problem, and I'm a free market proponent. And I don't believe that government should be the arbiter of housing prices. Our tax dollars are very precious trying to get our roads constructed and do all the things that we need to do, fire and police, sidewalks. But I don't think that government has a role in this. I think it is a free market issue. I do believe that there are organizations in our town that step up to the plate to try to address these issues, and that is the way it should be. At the end of the day, the biggest driver we have is the high prices of land here, and that is encroaching on us every day. But there are different ways to approach this, and I believe a carrot versus a stick approach, incentives and versus penalties on people. When we were talking about affordable housing earlier, I'm a proponent of that, incentives versus penalties. So I believe there's incentives out there that we can work together, and government's role is to not be a hindrance to this.
Thank you, Ms.
But to be
Berger.
a help.
Thank you.
So next is our lightning round question to provide some buffer here. The question, we'll start with Ms. Berger and go all the way around as well. What place to eat do you recommend that visitors go to when they're in Franklin? So, Ms. Berger.
Well, if they're in Ward 1, it's always Bricks outside on the patio. If it's downtown, it's any of your choices. You can't go wrong. We have a wealth of restaurants. It's great.
Thank you.
My number one go-to place is Connors in Cool Springs.
Thank you.
With the hundreds of places to eat in Ward 1. I anticipated the question and then was going to, not to offend anybody, so I wasn't going to choose one. If somebody's in town, I tell them to walk Main Street and you'll find the right place.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ward 2, Judge Beans.
Shout out to Tony at my sushi restaurant,
Yep.
Niso.
Woo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For a meat and three, you've got to go to Puckett's. If you want a Mexican, you should go to Tito's or Pueblo.
Thank you.
Love Language Cafe.
Thank you.
I would have to say, especially in Ward 1, Pueblo Real on South Main is fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Ward 4, excuse me, you're right.
Unless they moved to my, did they move to my ward? I didn't know they were in my ward.
We're now
Ward
on,
4, it's on that side of the street.
we're now on to our next round of questions, which the topic is going to be environment and the outdoors, and I'll turn it over to Emily to start this round.
Yes. So this question is for Bev Berger and Dana McClendon, and it is, should Williamson County pursue a premier $127 million sports complex? And we will start with Bev Berger.
Well, we are lacking and we are way behind in our sports facilities here, and we have people moving in here from all over the place from all over the United States, and their kids have been in sports, and they go, where do we go? And when A game shut down, it was devastating to our parents for the kids, because we have kids that are practicing for the Olympics here, and they have to travel to Nashville for the ice. I believe that, again, you know, I'm very cautious of how government gets involved, but I do believe there's room for public-private partnerships with certain things that the community needs to provide. But I do believe, if I have my druthers on that, I would definitely seek the private sector first, but I would not shut out a public-private partnership discussion with that. But I do believe we need it, and we need it badly.
Thank you. And Dana McClendon.
Would you read the question again?
Sure. It is, should Williamson County pursue a premier $127 million sports complex?
Okay, well, the county mayor came in to make a presentation on this the other night at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And one thing I noticed, let's just get this out in front, is that as to the owner of that property, which would be the government, perhaps the combined forces of Franklin and Williamson County, it lost money. So it would be kind of like a transit authority. It did not make money. It did not project to sustain its own existence. That said, should we explore it? Yes, because we do need the facilities. They were pitching it more as a visitor-driven, tournament-driven facility. I would prefer to deliver to the people that live here the fields that we need now. We haven't built a baseball park in Franklin City since Liberty Park. It's been way too long. So the answer to the question is, I would support further exploration of it, but I would much rather build parks for people that are already here first.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon.
Thank you. The next question is, do you agree with how the city of Franklin uses the Harpeth River for both drinking water and for sewage needs? And this question is for Mr. Campbell and Mr. Skinner. Mr. Campbell.
Presently, as I know, I've heard both sides of it, and I do approve of what the city does. I think that they handle the sewer and they handle the water correctly. I know that there's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of conversation out there, but from what I know, I approve of it.
Thank you. Mr. Skinner?
One thing I've noticed in the last few years is one of the problems with the Harpeth River was the lack of access. Too much land around the Harpeth River on its banks was privately owned, and therefore the people that might enjoy recreation on that river didn't have the access. The city has made an active policy that new developments along the Harpeth will now put in trails and help put in access units. We meet the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation's guidelines for permits for both the sewage treatment plant and our water withdrawal. The Harpeth River is not a large river. There are limits on what our withdrawals can be. And I think that as the seasonal ebb and flow of the river happens, people can
Thank you, sir.
continue to use it recreationally.
So continuing on with this, it is, what area of Franklin do you see the need for another recreational park? And this question is for Mike Vaughn and Elizabeth Wanzak. We'll start with Mike Vaughn.
Recreational parks. Well, you know, we have Harlansdale, which is coming online, and that's going to look real good here soon. The city did a good job in acquiring that property. I think there are some fantastic plans for Harlansdale that are going to come along with the addition of more horse-related activities, which is part of Franklin and Williamson County's cultural heritage as the horse. So I would continue to expand in the Harlansdale Farm area. Another area that might be considered is along Hillsborough Road, possibly Central Christchurch there, and some other areas along the way. And possibly also where the proposed Cheekwood Golf Course is being discussed, as well as affordable housing. We might consider that as a park as well. I'm not sure that the land there would pass any environmental inspection under close scrutiny. But those are some areas where I think that we could expand our parks.
Thank you. Ms. Wanzak?
I would love to see another park put into the western part of the city, into the western part of Ward 4. And one thing I particularly would love the city to do with a kind of private-public partnership is I'd like Franklin to pursue having a fully accessible playground. We don't currently have a single one in the Middle Tennessee area. There's not one in Williamson County. And we have a lot of children in the area who would love to be able to go to a playground with their family who can't currently because there's not, activities for them to do. ADA changed in 2010, so now if you put in a playground, you have to put in at least a ramp, and you'll see those at a lot of the county ones. They can go up, and they've got little steering wheels. But I'd love to see one that we could do potentially with the Friends of Franklin Parks and some other potentially private investment to really have an accessible to all playground and do it out in the western part of the city where there's a lot of land still there.
Thank you, Ms. Wanzak.
The next question is, what kind of amenity is missing in Franklin? And this is for Ms. Martin and Mr. Phillips. Again, what kind of amenity is missing in Franklin? Ms. Martin?
I think we have amenities for all ages, but I would very much like to see the Discovery Center, that they have one in Nashville, we have one in Murfreesboro, but we don't have one in Franklin. And the Discovery Center really is so important for the scientific and natural development of our children, and we have school children here, we have school children in all of the surrounding counties who could make use of this. So I would like to see us have a Discovery Center here. I think that's very needed by all of our children and our teenagers and even adults.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Are wider roads amenities? No, I love the idea of the recreation center, the Discovery Center, and what it would bring for the children and the city. What I'd like to see, and what is coming our way, is large recreation areas in southeast Franklin. There's a huge population growth over there, and those people have to drive across town to use, to play ball. So the city is buying and developing land down there to make a tremendous recreation and sports facility down there, and it's the right place for it, and I'm glad to see it coming.
Thank you.
So we have a bonus round question, and every candidate will get an opportunity to answer this. It will be 60 seconds, and we'll start with Bev Berger and work our way around. The question is, what should be the future of Confederate symbolism in Franklin? We will start with Bev Berger.
Wow. I got the winning ticket tonight. Thank you, Emily. I'm not interested in rewriting history. I'm not interested in tearing history down or erasing history. To be clear, statues and monuments of all American historic conflicts are protected here in Tennessee by the Tennessee Heritage Preservation Act, which was passed March 14th, 2016. Chip, who stands over here on the roundabout in our square, was erected in 1899 to give homage to the dead of our war. I believe Eric Johnson, Robert Hicks, the Franklin Battle, Franklin's Charge, they've all done a marvelous job in telling the whole story. So let's continue to tell the whole story. Let's not pick and choose what we're going to remember about our past. Let's learn from the past. Let's not pick ideas and pick sides, and let's honor all. And there are people who want to divide our community. Let's not let them do that.
Thank you,
Let's
Ms.
truly
Berger.
be Franklin.
Thank you.
And let's unite people and honor our history.
Thank you. J. Edward Campbell.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. It is, what should be the future of Confederate symbolism in Franklin?
I agree that we should not rewrite history. I have talked to people on both sides. If you want to choose sides, I don't like the word sides. I do like the fact that the monument that stands there honors all dead, and I like the fact that that monument's name is Chip. I hear all the time, as we all do, that it's this person or that person, and it's not. It's a symbol. I don't think that we should rewrite history, but I think that we should be sensitive, and I think going forth we should tell the whole story and both sides of the story as it's being done in the community, and I think it's being done in a great way.
Thank you. Michael Phillips.
The future of Confederate symbolism in Franklin should be historically appropriate. We, as a city, are one big historic museum, from Main Street to Carton and everywhere in between. And every place that has historical significance, whether good or bad in the past, is part of our museum. As long as it's, and it should all be presented historically appropriate, and I think we do a great job of doing that. And I'd love to see continued peaceful conversations about it for those who still have differing opinions.
Thank you. Mike Vaughn.
You know, recently I had the opportunity to go to Hard Bargain and to work cleaning tombstones at the Franklin African American Heritage Site. And I learned something there about a famous individual from Franklin that I didn't know about, and it was really beneficial. Do you know that the only Medal of Honor winner from Williamson County is a Buffalo soldier named Mr. George Jordan? And that's significant. I think that we need to promote more diversity in our heritage without compromising our heritage. I myself am a descendant from a Confederate colonel that was in East Tennessee, so I have the heritage of the Confederacy running through my own blood. But I think that we oftentimes miss the opportunity to promote more cultural heritage that exists right here in Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Dana McClendon.
Well, I watched with horror on the news as ISIS was spreading across the Middle East, and when they got a new piece of property, one of the first things they did was tear down anything that didn't square up with their ideology. And I'm not suggesting that people who would argue for the removal of statues are terrorists, but that you can't just remove things and make them as if it never happened. So I think that we do put, we have the things in Franklin that are our Confederate history parts are in the right context. They were not, we didn't bring a statue of a man who was never here and put it on the courthouse steps and revere him for, in 1950. The things that are here are here from the time that they were put here when it happened, or by the widows and daughters and sisters and wives of the people who did it. So I think that we have to, we can't go take these things down and wish them away as if it never happened.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon. Mike Skinner.
The Confederate statue on our square is part of the fabric of our history. One of the most important battles that happened in the Western campaigns of the Civil War was right here in Franklin. Because of the way that battle went, the war was shortened, the suffering was shortened. The wives, widows, friends of some of the men who died here erected this statue because they were beginning to be old. So that was a significant thing. Now, can we tell more stories about that period? Yes. I was on a committee with Colonel Sam Whitson, and we saw a need for the carriages on these federal cannon that surround our Confederate statue to be replaced and to have something that was historical, and it's made all the difference in the world of our square.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. And Miss Margaret Martin?
I believe the statue on the square is exactly where it belongs. It does not honor a person, but all the men who died in that horrible war that took place right here in Franklin, Tennessee. They were sons, husbands, brothers, friends, and from all over the country in many states. The Union cannons that Mike mentioned are a sign, as Representative Whitson said, a sign of reconciliation that has occurred over the years. It has absolutely nothing to do with hatred or slavery, simply the grief that was felt all over the United States. And I think it needs to be right there on the square.
And to close out the bonus round, we will go with Miss Elizabeth Wanzak.
The New York Times, when Carrie McGavick died, had the first sentence as, "The widow died in Franklin today." There was no need to explain where Franklin was. They knew right exactly where. Franklin is a living history museum. We walk these streets that people before us have, and I've been very pleased to see how the city is continuing to expand its story. I read an article the other day about how we're going to be telling more of the stories of the slaves on the different local plantations downtown. And I think we need to be doing that. I think we need to be sensitive. But I think the entire city is a battlefield. Just like Gettysburg, if you go up in, my husband grew up 45 minutes from Gettysburg, so we're up there a lot. You walk those streets, you walk those fields, and you feel the gravity of what occurred there. The Battle of Franklin was the second most bloodiest battle in the entire war, only outranked by Gettysburg. And for a long time, we ignored it because it was a Southern loss in the South. I don't think we need to erase our history. I do think we need to take time to be sensitive, and we need to put it into context, and we need to continue to have lots of conversations about it.
Thank you, Miss Wanzak.
Well, thank you for this very important discussion. Before we move on to closing statements, we have enough time for one more lightning round. This is a much lighter question. Do you prefer country or Americana? And what's a favorite song or artist of yours? And why don't we start with Ms. Wanzak and come around to Ms. Berger. Again, the question is, do you prefer country or Americana? And what's a favorite song or artist of yours?
You might as well just ask me, to explain what my last meal was going to be before I'm asking you. Most of my background's in the music industry. I probably prefer country, and I always loved Shania Twain as a kid, and her song, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." It doesn't matter if I'm cleaning the house. You turn that on, you can get a lot done.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
I prefer easy listening.
There you go, Margaret.
And anybody who has anything on that, in that genre, that's who I like.
Thank you very much.
I like all kinds of music, from Johnny Cash to Dan Fogelberg to symphony music. I'll listen to any of it.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Martin, you told me you hated doing this stuff, and you're stealing this show.
Yeah, there you
I'll go with country and give me some good old Waylon.
Very good.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I'll say George Strait, fireman. My dad was a fireman, retired from the Houston Fire Department, so it always reminds me of him.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
I choose country and Phil Vassar because he's like a brother to me, and he's the one that put the bug in my ear about moving here.
Thank you very much. Mr. Campbell.
I agree with Margaret. I'd probably go with easy listening. And since I started taking classical piano when I was 60 years old, 5 years ago, I would go with anything Jim Britton.
Very good. And Ms. Berger.
Well, I love all types of music, but I like country, I like jazz, I like classical, I like pop, and as my son well knows, I love Adele, but I am in love with Nora Jones.
Well, we're very thankful to this audience. Before we go to closing statements, we want to thank once again the City of Franklin Communications team and Franklin TV. I also want to give a special thanks and recognition to our regional editor of the USA Today Tennessee, Michael Anastasi, who's in back there. And especially a big thanks to you, the audience, who've taken your time to come here to learn about and really absorb local issues. This is such an important election. Make sure you're registered, vote early if you can, or vote on election day. So with that, let's move on to closing statements. You'll get 60 seconds each to make your final pitch to the audience. And we're going to start with Ms. Wanzak and work our way back.
I want to thank the Tennesseans so much again, and all of you here in the city of Franklin for allowing us to use their boardroom for this tonight. I'm running for alderman because Franklin is truly at a pivotal point in its story. Growth brings challenges that require attentive answers and stewardship to incorporate our history harmoniously into our future. We need to be asking the tough questions and making sure that every decision made truly reflects the identity and needs, both present and future, of the city. As alderman, I would dutifully and faithfully serve Ward 4 and all the citizens of Franklin in ensuring that the Franklin we know and love is here to stay.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
To the Fourth Ward residents, I love being your representative on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I have not solved all of your problems, but I have listened and I have heard your concerns. I have tried to respond by providing you with the information you need or directing you to the ones who can help. We have a wonderful staff, knowledgeable, professional, and responsive, and I applaud all of our departments for that. It's good to have a choice in elections, but I want you to know how much I would appreciate your vote in this election.
Thank you very much. Mr. Skinner?
I'd like for the people of Third Ward to remember, number one, I'm retired. Even though we're considered to be a part-time job here, it really does require full-time attention. So because of that, I'm able to attend many meetings that I would not be able to attend if I had to run a business or punch a time clock. And that's good because it helps you get the complete picture of what's going on within the city. I will continue to devote the same type of time and attention that I have done for the last 10 years and try to be an even better alderman than I was before. Some of the successes that we've had in the Third Ward have been, there have been multiple attempts to rezone for apartments, which would use streets that are already too crowded for the vehicle count that is there. We have been successful in turning back those requests.
Thank you very much, Mr. Skinner. Thank you. Mr. McClendon.
Well, since 1997, it's been my privilege and honor to represent the people of the Second Ward. I've set out the 5 principles that I laid out for my first campaign when I was a young man, and I've followed them. Every time I've had a decision to make or a policy to consider, I've looked at those principles and I've decided I'm going to follow these principles, and that's what I've done. I was elated to be endorsed today by the Franklin Firefighters Association because, in part, they are the people that have been down here with me from the beginning. They know me. They know that I've been pursuing these goals. So it was gratifying to have people that have been in the room and been part of the process acknowledge the effort that I've made. What my opponent calls being a career politician, I would tell you is me leading a life of service. And I've been grateful to be able to do it. And I hope that you will honor me with the continued opportunity to represent you here at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vaughn?
Well, for the first time in 20 years, the people in Ward 2 will have a choice.
That's not true.
And I am the choice that, that my residents in Chestnut Bend and the other people who I've been out being endorsed by and in the other neighborhoods have asked me to go and offer myself in this public service. For 25 years, I ran a private company that took me all over the world working on complex problems and issues. I'm semi-retired. I live in Chestnut Bend. After this election, I'm still going to live in Chestnut Bend. So I'm focused on being the residents of Ward 2's representative to City Hall. And that's what I commit to, and we'll do it with integrity and transparency. And thank you for your support, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak today and for Tennessee and putting on this forum.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you all for taking an active interest in the future of Franklin. I'm also retired, 50 years old, and that has allowed me to attend almost every BOMA and Planning Commission meeting over the past 2 years. It's not something I just started doing this year. Intentionally tried to get myself involved and get other people involved. Those familiar with the Facebook and Twitter presence, hashtag Keep Franklin Franklin, I created that. Everything that's ever been posted on that has been posted by me. I've reached out to you through that. I've informed you about what's going on. I've asked for your opinions about those issues. And I've come here and stood up before BOMA and have voiced your opinions. And I will continue to do that, just like I've been doing for the last couple of years. I'm not a politician. I have no desire to be a politician. I'm just a guy that likes to help, and I've got the time to do it. I hope you'll allow me to continue to do it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Campbell.
Thank you. Thanks again to the Tennessean and everybody for doing this, and to City Hall as well for their staff. To the residents of Ward 1 and to the city of Franklin, I want very much to be elected your alderman. I will represent the entire ward. I speak to people every day that feel like they have no representation in Ward 1. I will represent the citizens who live there. I will represent the developers who live there, because we're all Ward 1. I realize that in Ward 1, I also have an obligation to the city of Franklin. I will represent the city of Franklin on this board of mayor and aldermen. I will listen. I will be accessible. I will vote the way that they want to be voted. I want it to be noted on record, because it has not been noted this way in the community. I am a real estate broker with my wife, Brenda Tuck Campbell. The two of us work together as a real estate team for Synergy Realty Network. We do not own our own company. I have no connection with any developer in the city of Franklin. I do the buying and selling
very
and
much, Mr.
reselling of
Campbell.
houses.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Berger.
It's been an honor to serve Ward 1 and the people there. From everything from getting a dead deer out of a backyard and to mitigating a stormwater project where water is racing into homes. It's been an honor to solve these problems. I'm able to identify and solve complex issues. I bring people together. I partner to implement best solutions, and I have a strong relationship with people in my ward. I'm a phone call away. I always answer back to them and get with them. I will preserve our way of life. I will protect our community values, and I will prosper our city through carefully planned plans that the city has enacted over the years. It's my commitment to Ward 1 people. I ask for your vote. I will continue to serve you with the same dedication and energy that I have given you the past 12 years. And as my father said, when you are growing up, always remember to serve your community. And I agree with Mr. Alderman McClendon. Leading is a life of service, and I thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Tennessean, and especially the Tennesseans Williamson team, we want to thank this community. Thank you to Emily West, and most especially, let's give a round of applause to our candidates over here. And to our viewing audience, we thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and remember to vote.